Hello everyone and welcome to my Coronation Street official today. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up because what we are about to talk about is one of the most emotionally devastating storylines this show has given us in years. And trust me, you do not want to miss a single word of this. Shona Platt has finally done it. After years of standing in David Platt's corner through heartbreak after heartbreak, through scheme after scheme, through disappointment piled on top of disappointment, she has made the decision that so many viewers have been quietly hoping for and silently dreading at the same time. Shauna is walking away from her marriage to David, and this time it doesn't feel like one of those temporary separations that Coronation Street occasionally throws our way just to create a bit of tension before pulling the couple back together. No, this feels different. This feels final. This feels like a woman who has looked herself in the mirror and made peace with the most painful truth of her life. That loving someone is simply not enough to save a marriage that has slowly been breaking her from the inside out. The relationship between Shauna and David has been one of the most complicated, layered, and emotionally rich pairings in the show's history, and watching it unravel in real time is both devastating and honestly deeply necessary. To really understand why this moment hits so hard, you have to go back and think about everything Shauna has endured throughout this relationship. This is a woman who showed up for David in ways that most people never would have. She looked past his manipulative tendencies. She forgave his reckless decisions. She absorbed the emotional fallout of his schemes time and time again. And she did all of that because she genuinely loved him. I think that's what makes this so gut wrenching to watch. Shauna is not walking away because she stopped caring. She's walking away because she cares so much, for so long that she has completely worn herself down to nothing. The build up to this breaking point has been months in the making. Viewers who have been paying close attention will have noticed the small but telling shifts in Shauna's demeanor, the way she stopped lighting up when David walked into the room, the way her smiles became a little more forced, the way she began to carry a quiet sadness that she tried her best to hide from everyone around her. The show didn't give us a single explosive argument and call it a day. Instead, the writers chose to tell the story through accumulation, through small betrayals, through ignored feelings, through moments where David prioritized his own chaos over Shauna's need for stability, until eventually those moments became the entire marriage rather than the exception within it. Imagine how exhausting that must feel to keep forgiving, keep hoping, keep telling yourself that this time will be different, only to watch the same patterns repeat themselves over and over again. What's particularly powerful about how this storyline is being told is the realism of it. There are no dramatic screaming matches, no theatrical confrontation, no over the top soap opera theatrics here. Instead, what we get is something far more devastating. Quiet moments of realization, a glance that lingers, a second too long, a silence that says everything a conversation couldn't. The gradual, painful recognition that the person you built your life around has been slowly chipping away at the very foundation of your self worth, and that you have been letting it happen. I can't believe it took this long for Shauna to finally reach this point, but at the same time, I completely understand it. Because leaving someone you love, even when they are hurting you, is one of the hardest things a person can do. When Shauna finally confronts David, the scene is nothing short of extraordinary. This isn't a woman who is angry in the way you might expect. She isn't screaming or throwing accusations like weapons. Instead, she's heartbroken, she's exhausted, she's speaking with the quiet clarity of someone who has spent a very long time preparing themselves for a conversation they never wanted to have. She lays out the truth of their marriage in a way that is impossible to argue with. Not because she's attacking David, but because she's simply telling him what is real. The marriage has become a cycle of hurt followed by forgiveness, followed by more hurt, and she's no longer willing to go around that cycle one more time. And David is completely blindsided. I think that says everything you need to know about how disconnected he has become from Shauna's emotional reality. He genuinely does not see it coming. And that fact alone is devastating indictment how little attention he has been paying to the women he married. Imagine how she felt in that moment, realizing that even her breaking point came as a surprise to him. His desperate attempts to hold things together, to talk her out of it, to promise change, they don't land the way he hopes. Because Shona has heard versions of those promises before, she has lived through the aftermath of those promises not being kept. His desperation only deepens the divide between them, making it achingly clear that they have been living in two completely different versions of their marriage for a very long time. The decision to pursue a divorce is being portrayed with such care and intentionality by the show. This is not revenge, this is not spite, this is self preservation. Plain and simple, this is Shona saying, with every ounce of strength she has left, that she knows her own worth, and she's done accepting less than what she deserves. I find that incredibly powerful to watch, especially because it is not easy. The doubt is written all over her face, the love is still there, buried underneath the exhaustion and the pain, walking away from someone you still care about, knowing you are hurting them even as you protect yourself, is one of the most complicated emotional experiences a person can go through. And the show is not shying away from that complexity. That ripple effects across Weatherfield are immediate. Friends take sides, family members are thrown into difficult positions. Some people see Shauna's decision as long overdue, a brave and necessary act of self love. Others are worried, particularly about what this means for David, whose emotional history makes him a volatile and unpredictable figure when faced with loss, and those concerns are not unfounded. We watch David begin to unravel in the aftermath, grappling with guilt and regret and the terrifying creeping realization that he may have destroyed the one relationship in his life that was truly built on genuine love and understanding. There is a parallel emotional journey happening here, Shona stepping forward into something new, David crumbling under the weight of something he can no longer undo. And it is absolutely riveting television. Meanwhile, Shona's path forward is something to behold. She is slowly, carefully, painfully beginning to rediscover who she is outside of her role as David's partner. Watching her navigate the early days of independence, the doubt, the second guessing, the moments of vulnerability is deeply relatable and genuinely moving. She is not walking away into perfect, happy ending. She is walking away into uncertainty, into the hard work of rebuilding. And that makes her journey feel all the more real and all the more worth following. And maybe that's the part that hits the hardest, because this doesn't feel like a dramatic ending. It feels like a quiet truth finally being spoken out loud. Because when someone like Shona walks away, it's not sudden, it's years of silence finally turning into strength. And honestly, I think this is one of the bravest choices we have seen on Coronation Street in a long time. Not loud, not explosive, just painfully real. Because sometimes love doesn't end in a fight, it ends in acceptance, and that's what makes it even more heartbreaking. But here's the question that keeps lingering. Has David really lost her for good? Is this the wake up call he needed too late? And even deeper than that, can a relationship survive once the respect is gone, or is that the true point of no return? In my opinion, this isn't just Shauna leaving David. This is the show quietly redefining what strength looks like. And it's not about staying anymore. It's about knowing when to go. But don't be surprised if this story isn't over yet. Because if we know anything about Weatherfield, it's that unfinished emotions always find a way back. I wouldn't rule out a future where David tries to rebuild himself from the ground up, not for Shauna, but because he finally understands what he's lost. And if that happens, with Shona even look back, or has she already stepped into a life where he no longer fits? That's the uncertainty that makes this so gripping. Because the door isn't slammed shut, it's left slightly open, just enough to keep us guessing. So what do you think? Is this truly the end of Shona and David, or just the beginning of a different kind of story between them? And more importantly, did Shona make the right choice, or is there still something worth saving beneath all that pain? Share your thoughts because this one feels far from over.